I really don't want to get into semantics with other people about this is not a Carnosa. Please stop. If you want to correct, you know, the names that literally change every other day, then please create your own video. But in this video, I'm just going to call it what it's been called and take it up with yourself, okay? So, hi my salty pecans and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi! My name is Pamela and on today's video, I'm going to do an updated Hoya collection video. I don't remember the last time I did a Hoya collection video and I'm like, these babies are making me so happy, so proud, so I most definitely am gonna do one. I thought I should have waited until after the Hoyas bloomed, but you know what? That's gonna be another video. I'll show you all the blooming Hoyas in full action, but for now, I'm gonna show you the entire Hoya collection in my collection. So every single one, whether it's in soil, perlite, water, it doesn't matter, we're gonna share them with you babies. So if you're interested in seeing the HauzPlant Hoya collection, then keep on watching. So welcome back everybody. I'm gonna add this bracelet on because it's like one my mom gave me. It's one of these like magnetic wrap bracelets. They're so dope. Just wrap them and they go nowhere. So cool, right? Okay. So if you're like me and you are just not solely interested in just one sort of family of plants, you're not just all about the Araceae, you're not about the succulents, you're not just about the cacti, you're also into Hoyas, then let me share with you the beauties, the babies that I currently own. Throughout my plant parenthood, throughout my love and passion and learning and education of, right? I think that makes sense. You know what I'm trying to say? Throughout me in this hobby, I've gone through a variety of different Hoyas and I have found that not every single Hoya requires the same care. Not every single Hoya requires the same sort of just like substrate, lighting, sort of watering. It varies per plant. So sometimes I would care for one Hoya and expect it to react one way like the other Hoya, but it's totally opposite. So that's the thing I love about plants, is it humbles you and it teaches you, just like us humans, we're all different. Just because we might look similar or we might come from similar backgrounds doesn't mean that we are the same, that we react the same and we act the same way. All right, thank you for coming to my TED Talk because you know your girl loves to chit chat, okay? So I'm gonna start off with a few Hoyas that I actually have on this table and then I'm gonna just rotate them out to show you everyone because I do have about a couple handful worth of Hoyas. So the very first Hoya is one of my dearest, most favorite Hoyas in existence. This is my Hoya Carnosa Compacta Variegata. The Hoya Carnosa Compacta Variegata is a compacta variety, except the Variegata regalis is what they would really say. The regalis has the green interior and the white bordering. And as you can see, this is one of the new growth. So when they grow in, they can either grow in like all white, which I love, or they can give you these like pink borders, which eventually subdues and subsides and it turns into white once the plant is more, you know, established and it continues to push out more flowers. So here is an active new growth point amongst the many active new growth points that this plant is currently exhibiting. So this is the first Hoya in my Hoya collection. The next Hoya is another compacta, which is my Hoya Carnosa Compacta Mauna Loa. And I really don't want to get into semantics with other people about this is not a Carnosa. Please stop. If you want to correct, you know, the names that literally change every other day, then please create your own video. But in this video, I'm just going to call it what it's been called and take it up with yourself, okay? So this is the next Hoya. This is the Hoya Carnosa Compacta Mauna Loa. And the Mauna Loa is the reverse variegated. So instead of it having a white border, right? It has the green border and the white interior. So I absolutely love the Mauna Loa, and similarly to the Regalis, there are so many active new growth points, and the white, as per usual, gives you this like bright pink. Okay, and the bright pink essentially comes from it being sun stressed. So the heat, the sunlight gives it this vibrant pink, which again calms down over time, and you know, it goes to white. So this is the second Hoya in my collection that I'm sharing with you all. So the next plant I want to share with you all is the simple plain jade green Hoya Carnosa Compacta. This one has no variegation. It's just plain green, and this baby is like so buff, so juicy. In the summertime, I have to be a little mindful of it because my east facing window, really, like the heat in New York, the temperature in New York, I don't know if it's the same for you in the country that you live in or in the state that you live in, but the weather here is not normal. It's not like it used to be like 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago. The weather is completely different. So we get a lot of like heat during the summer months. So I do have to pull these plants back maybe slightly so they don't get like sunburn, because sunburn here is, it turns yellow and we don't want that. So this is the third Hoya that I'm going to share with you. This is just my first Hoya Carnosa Compacta, and this is just the regular jade variety. The next Hoya is yet another Hoya Carnosa Compacta, and this I would say is my very first Hoya that I ever owned. And this is the jade, and as you can see, this baby is really long, and I'm so happy to announce, after having this plant for quite a few years and having quite a few accidents, mishaps with peduncles that have formed on this plant in the past year or so, I let the plant dry out way too much, which for me, when I mentioned about the care, right? So this plant doesn't mind drying out, but when Hoyas are putting out active new growth, and honestly plants in general, when they're putting out active new growth, it's best to keep it on, you know, the well-watered side versus letting it dry out, because the plant is using up so much water, so much energy to push out the blooms. So if it's not getting the nutrients, the water that it needs, it's just gonna abandon, you know, abort the new growth that it's trying to put out in order for the plant to survive versus trying to give you the beauty. So all of this I say to show you this baby right here. Let me see if you can see what I'm showing you right here. That is a peduncle, and this peduncle is pushing out, you know, the little flowers, and I'm excited for this Hoya Carnosa Compacta to bloom. So yeah, I'm really proud of myself. I'm really proud of this plant, and I'm just really proud of this plant's ability to be happy where it is, and also show me that it's happy in my care. I have not noticed any other peduncles forming for now, but that's the thing about this plant. It's like you don't assume that it's pushing out, you know, anything, and then boom, it's already bloomed. That happened with my other Hoya. I will mention it when I get to that plant, and also put clips of what I was speaking about. But Hoyas tend to do that. You literally just one day show up and you're like, oh my god, when did this thing bloom? And it was just like it's a secret. So those are all of the compactas that are in my collection currently. I do still want to get the Hoya Jody Silver, but that plant is quite expensive, and I have not like have the budget for it just yet. But one day, by will, by God, I don't know how, I'm going to own a Hoya Carnosa Jody Silver, the Compacta. I think the last time I quoted the seller for just like, you know, a little like 1-inch sort of cutting, I think it was maybe like $3 grand, and I was like, ooh, I think I really wanted to actually do it, but I told myself, Pam, stop. Don't drop $3,000 on something so small. The most I have spent on a plant was $150, and I'm going to show that plant next. So this is the most expensive plant that I have ever purchased with my own money. Not the most expensive plant I own, but the most expensive plant that I have purchased, and it is the Hoya Swiffer's Tail. This looks very much so like a compacta, but it has zero like compacta genetics. This is a hybrid created by Rick Morier. I'm mispronouncing his last name, but this is a hybrid between Hoya motoski and Hoya fungii. So he's named this plant after his cat Swiffer, and I wanted this plant so badly, and I purchased it I think in 2021. I bought this baby, or maybe 2022, and I purchased it originally. It was a 2-leaf cutting, just one node 2-leaf cutting, and when I got it, it was looking a little like, ooh, but I wanted it. I had so much faith in it, and I kept it, and I kept loving it, and I was very attentive to this plant, and this plant has shown me that it's happy with the love and care that I have provided it, so much so that it has pushed out a peduncle for me. And I thought it was just one peduncle, right? So this is the peduncle that I'm speaking of. Let me zoom you all in, okay? So this baby right here is pushing out a peduncle, and as I was speaking to you all just now, I noticed that on the back side of here, it is like, it's hidden another, ooh, get off my hair, let's not do that. It has like another peduncle, so right here. So I'm even more stoked and gassed about that, because I did not notice that. So this whole time I'm thinking, oh, this Hoya is, you know, giving me this very obvious peduncle, right? But you know, it's like I said, this plant, Hoyas in general, they like to sneak up on you with their flowers, and you just come in your room, you're like, what is this scent, what is this beauty? Or it just catches your eye and you're like, oh my gosh, like you're geeked. So this happened live on camera again. This Hoya has 2 peduncles apparently. So this one right here is a bit more mature and happier, and this one right here is a little bit smaller, but nevertheless, a peduncle is a peduncle. So I'm happy with the care that I provided it, and just like I mentioned, I did up the watering on all of my Hoyas, especially the ones that I'm seeing that have active new growth, or especially that have peduncles. I definitely up the water, and I'm not letting these plants dry out for nobody, for nothing. I'm gonna try to keep the soil pretty well moist, but not saturate. We never want to saturate our plants to the point that it's sitting in water. You know, completely water your plants, let it absorb what it needs, and then throw away any excess. And if you have to repeat it every 2 days, repeat it every 2 days, but never leave your Hoya sitting in water, because that can cause root rot. And never leave majority of your plants sitting in water. If it's not like a fern or maybe a calathea, then don't do that. So this is the next Hoya in my collection, and this baby is blooming. So that is all for the compacta or compacta style like Hoyas. I'm going to get onto one of my other very favorite Hoyas, and this baby, I don't remember what happened to it, but something along the lines of it was really unhappy in the soil mix, and I started to see a decline in health. So I decided to reroot all of the plant, and most of them, you know, were happy in the rerooting medium, which I like to use perlite. So this is my Hoya Rotunda Flora. I plan on repotting this plant back into the substrate, the well-draining Hoya mix that I create. But for now, for about the last year and a half, it's been living inside of perlite, and it's not complaining. I have seen some active new growth also on this. So this is the next beauty in my collection, and that is my Hoya Rotunda Flora. This next Hoya is one that's like so confusing to me. I've had this Hoya for so many years, and I still don't understand what it likes and what it doesn't like. This Hoya gives me, it doesn't stress me because I don't like to be stressed, okay? But I've had this Hoya for quite a few years. I think I've had this since maybe 2019, and it like declines, but it grows. So I'm just leaving it in here, and this is my Hoya Curtsii. Beautiful plant. It has this like sort of silvery situation on the leaves. and the leaves are like this little cutiness. But like I said, it's like pushing out new growth, but I don't know if it's happy or sometimes if it's not happy. But this is my, like, I'm not even gonna trash talk it. This is another Hoya in my collection. I'm not even gonna say how I feel about it, but this is the next beauty in my collection. The next Hoya in my collection, this is one of my Hoya Pubicalyx. And this baby is giving me like this really silver, these really like splashy leaves, right? Yeah, this plant I have to probably up the watering because I'm looking at some of the foliage because it lives literally on the window. So I know this plant gets that intense sun, it dries out a lot. So I see that it is pushing out a bunch of active new growth. So I am going to up the watering and be more mindful about how often I water this, especially it's April and we're like in the 80 degrees right now today. So I can only imagine a plant in terracotta in well draining soil, which is like full of perlite bark, sort of, you know, stuff like that, on an east facing window with the glass pane like right in front of you. This thing probably cooks, okay? But this is the first Hoya Pubicalyx that I have in my collection. Absolutely love it. I'm gonna put it back in the water so it could soak and absorb, and then I'm gonna put it back at the window where it lives and be more cautious, conscious, and mindful about its care that I'm providing it. All right, y'all, so this next Hoya lives in water. It's always lived in water since I received it. I definitely should transplant it into a substrate mix, but I will when I get the time. And this is another Hoya Pubicalyx, and this is the Royal Hawaiian Purple. Absolutely love the Hoya Pubicalyx Royal Hawaiian Purple. It's so pretty. Again, I'm gonna add it into soil eventually, but it lives in this water prop with this Raven ZZ. It also lives in the water prop with this Pink Princess. The next few Hoyas actually live in my Hoya cage, and if you know me, I talk about this Hoya cage quite a lot. I'm not going to take the Hoyas out of it just because it's going to be a little bit tedious to place them all back in here, but there's 4 variety of Hoyas that are currently living inside of this cage. The first one is my Hoya Crinkle 8, and the Crinkle 8 basically has like about 8 indentations in the leaves. So that's how you could tell it apart from a Carnosa. The Crinkle 8 has like, you know, these, they look like a pea pod when you open a pea pod, and then the inside of a pea pod, that's pretty much what it looks like. The next one I have in here is just a plain Hoya Carnosa. This is just the green Hoya Carnosa variety, not a Crinkle 8. So you can see the foliage, you know, it's a little, no, this is a Crinkle 8 foliage. Alright, boom, let me show you right here. As you can see, it's just plain green Hoya. This Hoya, I don't remember the exact kind. I might have to look at my other videos, but I think this is another Hoya. This was a bonus Hoya when I purchased some other Hoyas back in the day that I don't have. It was the Hoya Rotunda. I don't have that plant, and I didn't really understand that it needed to stay wet like some other Hoyas, so I was treating it like, you know, a thicker foliage Hoya when it was really fragile and brittle. And the 4th Hoya in here is my Hoya Sweetheart, my Hoya Kerri, and this is just a plain green Hoya Kerri. It's, yeah, so pretty, so gorgeous, love it. So the next Hoya in my collection that I'm super happy and super proud of is my Hoya Obovata. This baby was a, like, yeah, it was like a gift from a really nice individual who actually sent me the Regalis, the Hoya Compacta Regalis. So this baby, I had like a little mishap with it where another portion of it, I'm so happy that I did, because like this plant came as like one large piece and I cut it. The bigger piece ended up like dying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I had to like save this plant, I have to save this plant, and I'm happy I saved it, because this baby, look at this huge peduncle. And look, this thing is like ready to bloom any day now. So hopefully next week it pushes out, you know, this starts to flower. But if not, you know, we're not gonna like harass the Hoya, okay? We're just grateful that it's pushing out peduncles and it's happy and satisfied enough in our care to want to flower. So this is the next beauty that is making me so proud. The next Hoya I want to share with you, actually, I'm not too sure what's going on with it, but to salvage the plant, I did go ahead and chop and prop it. So other cuttings of it is propping in perlite, but this one right here actually lives in this with my African thyme. And again, this African thyme is so funny because this is the last piece of African thyme that I have. My mom took the larger plant and it declined in her care, so I somehow managed to salvage like the tiniest piece, forgot about it in here, and now it's pushing out a lot of growth. But this is not about this. This is the Hoya Illegorium. Beautiful. You see the leaves are a little pruny, so I think what it is, maybe it's competing. The roots are probably competing with each other. So the African thyme roots are competing with the Illegorium roots, and maybe the African thyme is like absorbing more water than the Illegorium. And yeah, so it's like a battle of who can live in here. So I most likely I'm going to this weekend transplant and separate the plants so this baby can have its own pot to establish itself and continue to grow. But because of my fear of that, I went ahead and I cut up this plant quite a bit, and they're rooting in perlite somewhere else. So I'll show you the rooted pieces. So this is the other Hoya Illegorium that's rooting, and as you can see, this is like more firmer. This one still looks a little pruny, so I'm not too sure what it's trying to do. But and this one's like yellowing, but it was yellowing way before I even put it in here, so I'm just happy that it's doing its thing. I have it in perlite. I find that perlite is the best rooting medium, easiest rooting medium for me to use on my plants. So I keep it in this mug, and I have it in this bag, and I kind of create like a humidity chamber for this baby. So yeah. All right, salty pecans, I know lighting is a little bit different than what the previous clip was, but it's nighttime now. The camera did its thing, and I just had to let the camera do its thing. Okay, the next Hoya in my Hoya collection is actually my Hoya Kerri Sweetheart, and it's the variegated, and this is the outer white variegation. Just like I showed you with the Compacta, the Mauna Loa has the inner white variation, and the Ragalis has the outer white variegation. So this one for the Sweetheart, which is the heart leaf Hoya, has the outer white variegation and the green inners. So this is the next Hoya in my collection. I love this plant. It is another one where I noticed that I am going to start giving it a bit more moisture, a bit more watering, because one of the substrate, but also because of its location. So really love it so much. Sticking with the variegated Hoyas, this is my Hoya Acute White Variegata. This plant is so pretty. It's one of the little questioning ones for me too. It is literally just pushing out a good amount of new growth, but sometimes I'm not too sure about this plant or how it really feels. So I'm doing my best to keep it well watered, keep it moist, similar to all the other Hoyas at that window, especially since I'm seeing that the plant is, you know, pushing out new growth. Okay, so we're gonna keep these babies nice and well watered. So tomorrow morning I'm gonna give everybody a nice drink. But this is the next Hoya in my collection. I don't remember the exact name of this particular Hoya. It was one of like the freebies that I got from a seller. I forgot the exact Hoya, but I'll put the name, you know, on the screen for you all. But this is the next Hoya in my collection, and this baby is also pushing out some new growth. I've adjusted all of like my plants, so now I move certain Hoyas around, and now every single Hoya lives at my window. I no longer have any Hoyas on the back wall. Every Hoya lives at my window directly. So even if it's like soft tissue, whether it's thick, luscious ones like the Kerri, or thin, flimsy leaves like this baby, which is my next favorite Hoya. I have to be careful so that this thing doesn't drag my plants down, and like I already had a plant that just fell. Case in point. Let's just put this over here. So like I was saying, Hoyas that have maybe like softer tissues, like the Hoya Polyneura Broguette. So the Broguette is the variation that has the silver splashing. Love this baby. And it has been a little just like on hold. It was chilling for a while, and literally once I moved it to the window last week, it's pushing out new growth. So it's pushing out this baby right here, and I'm noticing this baby right here, and I also see some points within the plant, so it's really hard for y'all to see, but like right here, okay, as you can see, there's like a new growth happening right here as well. There's some new growth happening like right here. Okay, so this is the next Hoya in my collection. I absolutely adore and love the Polyneura Broguette. This was a dream plant, the Polyneura, but the seller sent me a Broguette without me even knowing. So this was like a, wasn't supposed to be, but had to be, and I have a unicorn. So this is my Hoya Crimson, I think my princess, or no, this is my Hoya Crimson, or either the Crimson Queen or the Crimson Princess, but it's looking like just all green. But I went ahead and actually chopped up the variegated section, so that's rooting in water in my kitchen. I may actually run and get that plant for you, the rooted section. So just ignore this crazy pot of cuttings, but I have a few of the rooted sections in here already. So if I pull this out, you'll see the roots are starting to like activate and push out. So I'm so happy about that, and I'm really excited. I'm getting ready to replant this with its parent plant. But this is the Hoya, I think this is the Hoya Carnosa Crimson Queen, I think I have, because it says the queen, the princess wears a crown, but the queen wears a gown. So this is the princess. So yeah. The next Hoya in my collection is this beautiful, look how gorgeous this is. This is the Hoya Rebecca, and this is one plant that has not stopped pushing out new growth for me. Every other day I feel like this plant, since I received it, pushes out new growth. It's always growing, it's always expanding. Like I believe this thing was like much shorter, much smaller when I first got it, and it's just doing its thing, and it's so happy, and it makes me so happy, and I'm just so happy to have this baby in my collection. And oh, it's like really stuck to this spot. I was gonna try to show you all the roots, but maybe it just wants to stay and chill in here. So this is the next Hoya in my collection. For the oddest reason, the name of this plant is escaping me, but oh my god, I love this plant so much. It is so beautiful. I literally, the name of this Hoya, I can't remember the name of this Hoya for the life of me right now. But similar to a few of the other Hoyas that I've been showing you, this beauty has like non-stop peduncles. There's one peduncle here. There's another peduncle, let me see. There's another peduncle up here. There's two peduncles, one on this side, one on that side, and on here there's another peduncle on here. So this Hoya is so freaking pretty. Love it, obsessed with it, so happy about this Hoya. Like, yeah, I don't even understand. It makes me really proud, makes me really excited to just get a thank you. I feel like when plants, especially the ones that flower and bloom, and the ones that flower and bloom not easily, they thank you in multiple ways. For example, if it's like a non-Hoya that doesn't bloom but it's pushing out new growth, right? That's a thank you. Or it's just like thickening up in its stem, that's another form of thank you. So these plants make me so happy and so proud, and you're welcome. I will continue to make you happy as long as you flower. That's the only, you know, that's the only caveat, is that I need you to flower for me. So we're coming on to the last, ooh, my hair. We don't want that to happen. We're coming on to the, oh, and it happens. Okay. We're coming on to the last two Hoyas in my collection. And they're like a bit older Hoyas. So the first Hoya is actually this baby right here. and this is my Hoya Weyi. I've had this for quite a long time as well. I think around the same time that I got my Compacta, but don't quote me. I think, yeah, I've had this since about 2019. This plant is so full, it's so huge. It's when you ask for like plants that you can't like kill, this is one of the plants. Like this Hoya lives directly above my heater, so above my radiator. So in New York we have like those rectangular radiators, and the heat just pops up straight on this. This plant does nothing. It lives like directly on the window, so of course it gets, you know, a little bit of like sunburn, it gets these like sun blisters, it gets like a little bit of like sun bleaching, right? But for the most part it doesn't complain. It pushes out new growth after new growth, for example like this right here, and a bunch of these tendrils which will start pushing out leaves. This plant is so easy. And the last and final Hoya that I'm going to share with you all in my collection is my first ever flowering Hoya. This is my Hoya Spafbertanoi. And I think I also got this plant like 2019 or maybe even like January of 2020. Sad news, even though I said this Hoya bloomed for me last year, I underwatered it so much that the peduncle actually fell. And I know that it fell because I tied a string, so I knew exactly like which strand was blooming, and then the peduncle came. It was like a longer vine here. The peduncle died, so I'm hoping that it becomes excited somewhere else in the plant and does push out another peduncle for me, but I'm not gonna like hold my breath. But I'm so happy that I got to experience and share in my first flowering Hoya, and this was sometime I think like last year that this Hoya bloomed for me. And it, again, it's like I was saying with seeing the peduncles on the other Hoyas, I just came into the room, I looked up randomly one day and I just see these beautiful like clusters of purple, and I'm like, oh my gosh, and like I was just so elated, made me so happy. So this is the last and final Hoya that is in my current collection. If I missed any, I hope I didn't, then my bad, but this is the last one, and I had to end it off with the one that made me happy. Mainly because I talked so much crap about this plant. I was just like, like I don't really care too much for it. It's like it doesn't really do much, and it showed me my ass. This plant was just like, what? You're talking so much trash about me? Well, you know what? Let me flower for you. Now what? Now what? You know, when you're always trying to like prove yourself, right? Because you're the underdog. I think this is what this plant was for me. This was like my underdog plant. And the Curtsii, I need to do that because that's like, that plant I talk a lot of trash about, but I think everyone has like, you know, their feelings about that Hoya. So yeah, salty peeps, this is like one of the little props that I also have for this, my Hoya. So this has a variety of Hoyas. It has like a sweetheart in here, it has a Rotunda Flora, and you know, these are like fully rooted and whatnot in here. And it has I don't even know, I think this is one of the Pubicalyx varieties, maybe, or maybe not, don't quote me. It has a Illegorium in here too. So love it. I'm awesome, and so are my plants. With that being said, thank you so much, my salty pecans, for watching this Hoya collection video. This is my spring 2023, can you believe it's 2023, Hoya collection. If you have any questions, share them down with me in the comment section. If you aren't already, make sure you are subscribed to this channel, HauzPlant. This is the YouTube channel. You can also find me on other platforms, on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, Twitter also, but I barely use Twitter, and they're all at HauzPlant, HauzPlant. So if you want to find me anywhere, that's where and how you can find me. Okay, and if you haven't, also make sure to give this video a thumbs up if you're into Hoyas, because who isn't into Hoyas? And if you're not into Hoyas, get into Hoyas, okay? Because this plant rewards you and I'm all about working hard for visible rewards, and visible rewards for me is, well, are new growth and flowering. Okay, with that being said, thank you so much, my salted pecans. I will see you on the next one. Let's get growing.